Okay, so at this point, we're going to get into the actual blog listing page, and it's a good time to go ahead and clean up our WordPress theme. So we had a couple menu items that we've changed. You can go into your menu. Your pages need to be set up correctly. So we need to have the About page, the Home page, which you already have, and then I went ahead and changed the sample page just to call it Blog, because that's the next thing we're going to be focused on. And the content inside of that page doesn't matter because it's just going to pull the listings. And then you need to go ahead, of course, to settings, reading, and make sure that things are set up correctly. So a static page, if you set it to your latest post, that's going to pull all your blogs to the home page, which that's not what we're looking to do right now. So set it to static. The front page is home. The posts page is a new page we just changed called blog. So when we do this, let's go ahead and look at our theme and refresh it. The home page is exactly right. This is the home page template, which has this bigger header area. That's pulling correctly. The About page should look right. And then the blog page. So you can see immediately that the blog page is pulling the home.php structure.
Right.
So if it were pulling the regular page.php structure, it would be pulling this this smaller header area basically. So there's some reason that the blog page, instead of pulling, we needed to pull index.php, which will be our blog listing page. And as you can see, if we go in here to edit our index.php, this should always be your blog post page. All we have in there is get header, get footer, and if I put in new content and refresh that blog page, it's not going to show that. What it will do is if we go into our home.php, since we can just tell this because it's got a different header setup. We add some content in there. That's the page that it's pulling from. Let's delete that content out real quick. So why is it doing this?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you. Why is it doing
that's
this?
a good question. Let's go to the template hierarchy, and we can talk a little bit about that because this is how WordPress is going to decide which page template it's going to pull. And right here it talks about it right away. It says WordPress templates fit together like the pieces of a puzzle to generate web pages on your WordPress site. So if we scroll down here and get looking into the template hierarchy, and this is something that you really got to come to understand and have a really good understanding of. When you have problems, you got to come check it out to see what's actually going on.
Yeah, and we've been working with this already. This is a, when you look at this picture, you're not going to drink this all in at one glance.
Right.
It takes a little bit of time, but some of these page templates here, if you look at here, this is the basic page template structure. And like when we started our WordPress theme, the first thing we had you do was just create an index.php, a style.css, and a functions.php. But the index.php is the only page template that WordPress needs to operate.
Right.
And you can see that here, it's kind of the last resort. So maybe explain the way this is working a little bit.
Let's kind of just look at it. Like you said, index is where it starts. So if we look over here, we have our index.php, right? And that's kind of the start of everything. And then we're building out pages after we get to the index. So they're building out, in a default site, you're going to see a 404.php. You're going to see a search.php, an archive, a single, right? As you go down this list. And what it's doing here is saying those are the main pages, right? Those are the fundamental pages that you really are going to need for when it goes to look for it. It's going to look for an archive first. If it can't find an archive, it's going to go to index.
So what you're saying is, if it, like on almost every page or website you go to, if the user looks for certain content and it's not there, there's an error page. There's not just a page that has nothing.
Right.
There's a page that says, hey, there's nothing at this page. Maybe try this or this or this. So this error, these are the pages that you would typically have on a website, an error 404 page.
Well, this is the most basic example, is right here at the top of the page, okay? So if you search for something and you get an error, WordPress goes, it says on the left side, what page is it? Oh, it's an error page because there's been a mistake. So when it searches for an error page, it's going to search for a 404.php.
Right, which is a 404 page template that we would create and say, we would add a header and footer, and then a content that says, hey, the content you're looking for cannot be found.
Yeah, and then if it can't find that, it goes, okay, well, what's the next thing up the chain? Well, obviously, it's the index.php.
Exactly.
If you go down, if you want to get it more complex, let's do it again. So it says, what page is it? I want an archive page. What kind of archive is it? Is it an author archive down here? If it's an author archive, I'm going to search for these 3 different types of files. I want to search for an author.
In this order of specificity.
Exactly. So we can make it more and more and more specific based on what we want, what results we want it to show. If it can't find it, it's going to go, okay, well, is there an archive.php? If it can't find the archive.php, it's going to, again, we're going to default back to the index.php.
It's a great example. And then the one, and we've already used this pretty extensively, and we've built out from the index.php to more specific pages. The singular page has 2 options. It can be a single post, which is a blog post, in which case it can have very, very specific things. If it's an attachment post, it can be attachment PHP. If it's a custom post, it can be single dash blank, which this is exactly what we did for our portfolio listing page, single dash portfolio, or what we will do for that. Blog post is single post, or if none of those are available, if we haven't created those files, it's going to look for single.php.
Yeah, now let's get into the actual, what happened with our site here, and I'll explain it really quick, is what we make. Okay, we made an index.php, right?
Right.
And then we're like, okay, well, we need a home.php to display our home page. And if you look at the line out from home.php, it points to 2 different things.
Right.
It points to our blog index page, and it points to our site front page. So there are 2 pages in which it's going to pull from the home.php, right?
Right, so our front page that we created, we said this is called home.php because this will display as our home page automatically.
Right.
But what we didn't consider at that point was that, hey, the blog posts index page is also going to pull from home.php. So we're basically both of them are pulling from the same page template, and we needed to pull from something different.
And if we didn't have a blog page, this wouldn't matter. If we weren't doing a blog, we could call this home and it'd be fine. But since we are, now we need to change our site homepage to be called frontpage.php and leave our blog post page as the home.php.
Yep. So let's go ahead and go into our home.php. We can actually just rename this frontpage.php.
Exactly.
And we don't have to have a home.php. We can actually now, since there's no home.php listed, this isn't here at all, the site front page is going to go to the frontpage.php. The blog post index page, there's no home.php, so it'll default to the index.php, which we have created. So the index should just have a header and footer and new content. So let's go ahead and update our blog page and see if that worked. New content. We've got the index.php used for the home page or for the blog, and then the home page is still pulling from front page PHP. So that's really, really, really valuable stuff. This this map right here is really important to begin to understand, and the way to look at it is to one, you can look at it from the direction of, I need to create X page. I need to create a single page. What page template should I create for that? And the other thing you can look at it is kind of from a top down, from the right. This is the one you have to have, and then as you get more and more complex and specific, you're going to move out to the left to kind of specify which page uses which template. So that's a really, really important introduction to the template hierarchy. Now we're going to go ahead and get started building out our blog posts page.
See you guys in the next section.